Hi, curious women. Welcome to my curious video newsletter. Today I am talking about compulsory heterosexuality, but kind of a little bit from a different slant, just because I've had a weekend of sort of like reeling. In some ways about a couple of experiences I had talking to folks that have podcasts for heterosexual couples who somehow we made contact, and they were trying to sort of see, like, what do I talk about on a podcast? And I shared what I do, which is that I work with late bloomers and sort of expose compulsory heterosexuality and how what I've really been referring to as a social construct, but one of my followers on TikTok recently just said it's actually a brutal regime, which I really resonated with. But so I say that I talk about compulsory heterosexuality and try to educate people about this brutal regime that we have all been exposed to and essentially like living under, and it has stolen our freedom. And not only for late bloomers, it's not only for us or people questioning their sexuality, because most of us that are in that space, we realize that this exists and we can grieve and we can feel anger and we can feel disgust and we can feel just sadness of the time that we lost where we weren't allowed to really follow our own inner compass, because it was already predetermined exactly how our path was going to get laid out. But for people who are straight or really identify as straight and are not questioning their sexuality, I still feel like there's a lot of importance and value in learning about this, because it's not actually exposed to all humans. And if I were straight, I would want to know that I was living under a certain regime or construct. I would at least want to be aware of it and realize that, yes, I'm privileged because I'm living the way that the construct was set up, but this is just wrong. And, really start to question just, what did I do because I was supposed to, and what did I do because it really resonates with me, just so I have agency as a human living a life in the world, right? Anyway, I started to get kind of like confused this weekend, and I was like, why is it that straight people don't want to learn about this? And so I spoke to a couple colleagues and a couple friends, and what I heard was, people put a lot of energy and resources into building lives for themselves and belief systems, and that this compulsory heterosexuality fits into the belief system of most people, I'm going to say. They've built their entire life around it. And to face the fact that this is not something that was just like coming from them, but it was a box that they just got put into and then, just spat out like a robot exactly what they were supposed to. The idea of that, after putting so much energy and time and resources into their lives, would be devastatingly painful. And people don't know what to do with those feelings. And so for them, they'd rather kind of not know. And this is where I start to think about, our society and emotions, and how feeling strong emotions that are really valid, by the way, like the loss and the grief and the disgust and the anger, maybe even in the fear about this regime having created a certain flow in your life for you that you followed instead of creating your own flow. Yeah, like all those feelings are super valid ones. So people don't want to feel them, because what we've learned is that if you feel too much, you're hysterical and you're like dysfunctional and you're completely dysregulated and you're off the charts and something's wrong with you and you should really like go talk to somebody and maybe even start some medication. If you feel too much anger or too much sadness about this, like maybe you need to be medicated so that you don't feel it. And here we go, right? The pharmaceutical companies are like making tons and tons of money. Like this whole thing is like a well-oiled machine that just keeps pumping it out and creating a universe where we become more and more and more disconnected from who we are as humans, and we become more and more robotic. So, you know, this kind of, I mean, I have been thinking about this for a long time, but just somehow like all these pieces came together this weekend just because I had a couple of interactions with, you know, straight folks who were not, you know, I have nothing against these folks whatsoever, but they were not just like, hey, yes, we want to like learn about this and we want to educate our straight listeners about compulsory heterosexuality, because who wouldn't want to know about that? In the same way, like who wouldn't want to know about compulsory monogamy, right? But instead it was kind of like, you know, let me get back to you while we sit and think about what angle we might be able to talk about this with our listeners, because we don't want to like create a lot of chaos or anything. You know, so then I just started like sitting on this and I was like, holy cow, this is really insane. And, you know, so I essentially, what I want to offer to all of you out there, first of all, is if you have not taken my free 3-part mini course, which I know many of you have, but if you haven't taken it, just sign up for it and do it. It invites curiosity in, which is like what most humans are missing, because they want certainty and they want to know. And compulsory heterosexuality is like the path that's known. You're going to meet one person and it's going to be the opposite gender, and you are going to live the rest of your life with this one person, and you're going to have 2.2 kids, and you're going to know everything, and it's certain. Everything's certain. You're going to have respect. You're going to have privileges, right? And so, you know, we are living with uncertainty if we are turning away from compulsory heterosexuality. And uncertainty is just a state of human, it's like a human state. There isn't really any certainty other than, you know, continuing to connect with what's happening inside of you. If you feel like you need support around what is happening inside of you, please let me know. Just reach out. I have the next Late Bloomers boot camp starting in September. I'm doing an evening time this week for those folks that have been saying, I can't do the day. So I am doing an evening one, and then I am going to also open up a daytime one, because I have other people that are like, I need a daytime one already. So I'm going to open those up. Once they're open, register so you can grab your seat. We talk about all of these things in community. I will guide you. I will offer you materials to open your mind and just invite curiosity in, and to work with all of these feelings that you're having, so they are not overwhelming in a way that sucks you into a black hole, but they are overwhelming in a way that you can feel them so you can move through them and get somewhere else. Because if we don't feel our feelings, we get stuck, which is, you know, the whole thing. Okay. Keep tuning into yourself. Stay curious. Please stay curious. Reach out anytime. And I look forward to seeing you next time.